Thousands of people have loved my automated task tracker over the years, and that's because it's so simple to use. All recurring tasks are automatically added, and all you have to do to clear a task from the list is mark it as done. I have a ton of great visualizations and features, but one request I've gotten over the years is to have a Kanban view. So that's exactly what I made. Over here to the left, you can see all of our overdue tasks. Just to the right, we have all of our tasks that are not started, and those are prioritized based off of the deadline and then the priority. Then we have our pending task, which is prioritized based off of the deadline, then the priority as well. And then we have a view of all tasks that we have completed in the last 3 days. And I have those sorted by priority. And just like normal, everything is managed from the task list. So for example, if I wanted to change Watch Task Tracker Tutorial from not started to pending, if I go back to my Kanban view, you can see that now instead of it being under not started, now it's under pending. Or if I were to update Purchase Tracker from the 7th to today, now it's no longer on overdue, and it's no longer highlighted red. Instead, it's just listed as normal. And when I mark it as done, now in my Kanban view, it will be listed in my completed tasks. And it's as simple as that. All right, so on your task tracker, let's go ahead and insert a new sheet. I'm going to bring that in front of task list, and I'll rename that as Kanban. Then let's merge columns B through D. We'll select B2 through D. Go all the way down to, let's say, 70, and let's add some alternating colors. So I'll click on the fill color, go to alternating colors. I'm going to make it this red one because this is going to be our overdue. So I'll go ahead and change this to a dark red, and I'll hit done. Now let's go ahead and change the text color to white. Then we'll select the merge cell, and we'll change the fill color to match the same exact thing, and the font to be white. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and make column A a bit smaller. I'm going to make column B a bit bigger, and I'm going to add some borders. So let's go ahead and go down to row 70. We'll click borders, then click outside border. Let's make this a little bit bigger, and now we have a little bit of a format. We don't need any rows past 70, so let's go ahead and select everything and delete those. And now it's starting to come together. So up here, we're going to put overdue, and let's go ahead and merge that. And we're actually going to insert one row above, make this slightly bigger as well. So that way it just kind of has like a nice border around it. And you can make the thickness however you'd like. I'm going to change the entire spreadsheet to have a different font. I'm going to use this custom font that's called Delius. If you want to add that font or something else that's not currently on there, you can click on more fonts and add it that way. And let's go ahead and make the header 14. Let's make the subheaders 12, and then everything else will be 10. In cell B3, we're going to add our first formula. And just to make things simplified, I'm going to paste it and then explain what it is. All right, so you're going to type equals if error, open parentheses, query, open parentheses, and then you'll select the cells from A2 through L. So I'll go ahead and delete that to show you. On the task list itself, if there's anything that populates, just delete it. And then we're going to say A2 through L. So literally all the columns, and then we're going to go all the way down through the end of the column. And let's go ahead and anchor that in with dollar signs. And the reason why we're anchoring it in with dollar signs to make it an absolute reference is so it doesn't shift when we copy things over. After a comma, we're going to put inside quotes, select space B, comma D, comma E, where E is not null, and E less than, date, a soft quote, a full quote, ampersand, text, open parentheses, date value, open parentheses, today, open parentheses, close parentheses, comma, inside quotes, YYYY dash MM dash DD, close parentheses, ampersand, full quote, soft quote, order by E, comma D, quote, comma 1, close parentheses. So what this is saying is that of this range, we're going to select columns B, D, and E, and those are the only columns that we're going to return. And if you look right here, we have columns B, D, and E, task list, priority, and deadline. And we want it to only show where E, so where the deadline is not null, and E, which is the deadline, is less than, and then we're taking the date value of this breakout text. So basically what we're doing is we're finding the value of today. So normally for query, you have to have the dates in specific orders. And you'd have it wrapped inside soft quotes, and it would be in form 4-digit year, dash 2-digit month, dash 2-digit day. So we're breaking out of the query, joining it with the text formula, and we're finding the date value of today, and we're putting it in that order. close parentheses, joining it back in, and then we are going back into the query formula with this quote. So essentially this is the same exact thing as if we were to type it manually. We're just including it dynamically, so we'll update every single day. After that, we're ordering it by E, which is the date, comma D, which is the priority. So we'll show the date first, with the earliest date being listed on top and the most recent date being listed at the bottom. And then it will sort by priority if there's multiple on the same day. Now let's go ahead and change this to a date. So now you can see that this is November 6th. And the last thing after the query, we have comma 1, and that's saying that the first row that's listed right here is the header. So it's basically saying that these rules don't apply to that first row. We want to show that at all times anyways. And then we're wrapping the query formula in an if error formula. That way, if there's an error, it's blank. All right, so now we're going to copy this and we're going to paste that in E. And I don't want to have the same color scheme, so I'm going to go ahead and select part of the colors, go to alternating colors, and we're going to change H all the way back to D, so it's only applying to B, C, and D. Hit OK. So now we don't have any alternating colors. Now let's have another alternating color. We'll select the entire range, go to alternating colors, and then this time let's say blue. And you can do whatever color scheme you want. Just like last time, we want to go ahead and change the top header to match the color in the bottom. So now that's all good to go. Now for this one, it's a little bit different, and that's because we're stacking two queries on top of each other. The reason why we're stacking two queries on top of each other is because we want to make sure that anything that has a deadline is listed as a higher priority than anything that does not have a deadline. So for example, right now we don't have anything with a deadline, but if I'm going to go ahead and change this, so now you can see that we have the one with a deadline on top of the ones that don't have a deadline. So just like last time, the if error is the same. Then we're going to have vstack, open parentheses, query, open parentheses. We'll select that same task list, so A2 all the way through the end of column L. And then for the formula for the first query, we're going to put comma, quote, select BDE, just like last time, where C is our progress. So where C is equal to inside soft quotes, not started, and E is not null, E is a deadline. Order by E, comma D, quote, comma, 1, close parentheses. And once again, that 1 means that there's a header involved in that first part. After that, we'll put a comma, and then we're going to put our second query. Now the second query is slightly different. Instead of going A2 through L, we're going to go A3 through L. The reason why we're starting in A3 instead of A2 is because we don't want to include that header row again, because we already have the header right up here. So on the task list, A3 through the bottom of column L, put a comma, inside quotes, we're going to put select B, comma D, comma E, where C is equal to inside soft quotes, not started, and E is null, so the date is null, order by D, and D is the priority. We'll put a comma. This time instead of a 1, we'll have a 0, so that's saying that there are no header rows. So go ahead and start applying the rules to every single row. And then we'll have 3 close parentheses and press enter. And then the last thing we need to do is change this to not started. So now we have all of our not started tasks with deadlines up top, and we have everything that doesn't have a deadline at the bottom. And the formula works pretty much the same way. The only difference is we're selecting B, D, and E, the task list, the priority, and the deadline, where C is not started, that's the status, and E is not null. And then we're sorting it by E and then D, just like last time. On the second part, C is not started, and E is null, so there is no date. And then since there's no date, we don't need to order it by E, then D. We just need to order it by D, and that's it. So everything's working great. Now let's go ahead and copy this, and we'll paste it right here in column I. We'll do the same thing we just did, so let's go ahead and get rid of the alternating colors for the whole range. We'll change that back to H. Let's go ahead and select another option. So I'm going to go ahead and select kind of this yellow color. Then I'll change the font color to match the yellow color. I'm going to make it all have a black text instead of a white text, so it's a little bit easier to read. We'll change this to pending. And then the formula is going to be the same for the most part. The only difference is that instead of not started, we're going to put pending. And then for not started, we're going to put pending as well. So now instead of it having the not started, it's going to have pending. And just like last time, anything with a deadline is going to be on top. Anything without a deadline is going to be at the bottom. So for example, if I have subscribe on YouTube, let's go ahead and remove that deadline. Now that's going to be listed on the bottom instead. So working exactly as we want. All right, now I'm going to take a little shortcut here, and instead of having to do the whole unalternating coloring portion, let's go ahead and skip a line, paste it, go in here, change the alternating color just manually, and we'll give it this green color, and we'll make it have this kind of dark green header. So now it just kind of skips a few steps. We'll do the same thing here, so let's go ahead and use the dropper to select the same green, and now that's good. We will make this smaller as well. Starting in column R, go all the way to the right, and we can delete all of those columns. So now it should look pretty much like this. And if you want to, you can select A, E, I, M, and Q all at the same time. And then you can make them all the same size just like that. And to select all of them at the same size, you can either hold down Command or you can hold down Control, and that will allow you to select without losing the other selections. So now everything's in one view. All right, so we have a different formula now, but before we get to that, let's go ahead and change this to completed last 3 days, or you can name it whatever you want. And then for the formula, we're going to type equals if error, open parentheses, query, open parentheses. Instead of going to the task list, we're going to go to done. So we're going to go to our done tab, and then we're going to select B1 all the way through L1. And let's go ahead and go all the way through the end of the column, anchor that in to make it an absolute reference. And now we'll continue with the formula. We'll put a comma inside quotes, select B, D, and L. So instead of E, which is deadline, we're going with L, which is the completed date. So if you go to your done tab, go to column L, this is task completed. This is how we're finding what tasks have been completed in the last 3 days based off of today's date. Just like last time, we're going to have a where L is greater than or equal to date. We're breaking it out of this quote by using that same logic that we did for the overdue with the deadline. The difference is now we're going text, open parentheses, date value, open parentheses, today, open parentheses, close parentheses, -3, close parentheses, comma, inside quotes, YYYY-MM-DD, close parentheses, ampersand, and join it back into the query, and we can continue. But before I continue, all we're doing here is we are taking the contents of today -3, so 3 days ago, and we're adding it into that format that we need for dates, and we're putting it in that soft quotes. We're just doing it dynamically. If you're confused, don't worry, you don't need to know how this works. Just type it accurately and you'll be good to go. We're going to order by D, which is our priority. Then on top of that, we're going to do something we have not done before, which is we're going to relabel the header names. We're going to label L as completed inside of soft quotes. In the quote, put a comma, put 1, 2 close parentheses, and we're good to go. So the reason why we're relabeling that is right now, if we didn't relabel that, it would show task completed. It's just a little bit long, so I'm just relabeling it as completed by just doing it manually. And that's that. So the only last thing that we need to do is 1, get rid of these pesky grid lines because they're ugly. So now it looks a little bit cleaner and neater. And the second thing we need to do is we need to embed the counters inside of the headers so we can count however many tasks are in each category. So we're going to go ahead into the first one. We'll type equals, quote. After the header, let's put space dash space into the quote, put an ampersand, and we're going to use a count A formula and select columns B4 through B. And now we can press enter and it will show us exactly that. So what this is doing is it's taking the header and this little dash that we have there, and it's joining it with the results of this formula. And this formula is simply counting however many cells have a value of any type of value. Since only one has a type of value, everything else is blank, it's returning 1. And then to go over to the right, you can do one of two things. You can copy it and you can paste it and simply change this to not started, and then just resync the color. So let's go ahead and just add that color back, and it's as simple as that. Another thing you can do is you can copy this portion, go in there, put equals, quote, space dash space quote, paste that portion, and then just make sure that it aligns with the proper column. So J and J. So all good to go there. So it really depends on what you want to do. I'll go ahead and just continue the path here. So let's have it equals in a quote, space dash space in the quote, paste that, and then we're going to go in to in. And just like that, now we have the overdue. We can see that one task is overdue. Not started is 3, pending is 3, and completed last 3 days is 23. We're almost done. Last thing I want to do is go ahead and make a conditional formatting rule. So we'll select cells D4 all the way through the end of column D. Go to Format, Conditional Formatting. And then we're going to say date is before today. And if it is before today, let's go ahead and give it a red color for a background and a white color for a font. And hit done. So all good to go there. Now with D4 all the way through D70 selected, let's go ahead and paint it and do it for everything else. And for painting, all you have to do is click on this little paint format and we're painting the format. Last thing I want to do is go ahead and drag the little gray bar just above 1 underneath row 3. So that way if I scroll down, I still have the context to what I'm looking at. And now we're done with our Kanban. So let's test it out. So let's go ahead and change this one to October 31st. Now we have that flagged right here, and we have the highlight flagged right here. That's in pending. Let's go ahead and change that from pending to not started. And now we have that back in not started. Let's go ahead and change that from not started to done. And we have that right here now. And then let's just do one more for good measure. Let's go ahead and change watch budget tutorial to pending. Watch budget tutorial is in pending. And then let's change it to done. And it's right there as well. So everything's working exactly as we planned. So once again, this is a visualization, so you're not moving it directly on this screen from one spot to the other spot, but more it helps you prioritize a little bit better to see which tasks are in which category. And then just like normal, you would go on your task list and you would work just like you normally would. I hope you find this helpful. If you haven't already, I have a bunch of different customization ideas on my YouTube channel. So make sure to check those out so you can tweak it to meet your exact needs. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions and like and comment for more.